Today on episode 57, our Olin Kreutz episode of Typical Chicago Fans, we have Sinkers and Floaters, a Week 14 recap and a quick playoff outlook in the NFL. The College Football Final Four is finally announced. Bullpen, a weekly recap on the hardwood for the Bulls. And Puck Talk, Blackhawks Weekly Roundup. We also, to finish up the day, have an electric interview with Barstool Chicago's own White Sox Dave. Let's roll.
Hello and welcome to Typical Chicago Fans episode 57. It's been a little bit since we've been on the pod. We took a little break, but we're back with a big interview at the end of the show. We got Barstool White Sox Dave on the show. Great interview. That's 3/4 of the Barstool Chicago guys we got on here. We just need Carl on the show to make it a four of them. But for now, it's a great. I mean, we talked about White Sox, talked Cubs, talked a little Bears.
We talked everything.
His pitching challenge he did on Cyber Monday on Barstool, which was a big time thing. But we'll get more into that. But let's get into our sinkers and floaters right away. My sinker, if you can't tell, flu season.
Yeah.
I'm sick
I had it last week, too. Not the flu. I had a cold last week, and I'm finally starting to get better.
I expect Boomy to always kind of get the flu because he's a teacher.
Yeah, I'm around kids all the time.
So he will be around kids, but it sucks right now. I don't know if you. Hopefully my voice sounds okay. Maybe I actually think my voice like this is a little sexier.
Hey,
I think I always want to be sick because I think it just makes me sound.
Your voice sounds
manlier
deeper,
because
baritone in
my regular voice is a little girly. But flu season. I'll try not. I realize that there's a camera right there, so I can't just wipe my nose out of nowhere. So you gotta be a little. But yeah, flu season sucks. But
it's never easy.
But especially with this weather, it's just shitty weather.
Right now it's rainy, but it's probably gonna snow in a couple days. It stinks.
It stinks.
My sinker, on the other hand, is Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune will never be the same, Zach. Do you want to know why?
Why?
Vanna White is officially done as the letter lady on Wheel of Fortune.
When was her last show?
Today was her last show, from what I read.
Why do I just figuring this out?
I know. I saw it on Twitter today. And honestly,
how long has she been on that show?
Oh, boy. That's a good question, but I want to double check this because I did see it trending on Twitter. And yeah, Vanna White takes a spin as Wheel of Fortune host.
There you go.
She is. Oh, I was wrong. She's going to be the host of Wheel of Fortune. She's no longer the board lady because Pat Sajak's having some medical issues.
Oh, so she's just switching roles,
switching jobs, but it's still not going to be the same.
If you're a Wheel of Fortune fan, you're relieved.
Yeah. But it's still going to be weird not seeing her touch the thing.
I wonder who they're going to have do this to some other person.
I don't know.
I think I'd be good at that.
Sure. I think you'd be great at that.
Just hitting the thing. I wouldn't be
good at it. Well, man, it's not like the old days where they had to turn the letter. Now they just hit a button and the letter shows up.
I would be horrible at that show because sometimes I forget what vowels.
But it's not going to be the same.
Are.
You're like, hang on, vowel.
Can you explain what a vowel is to me, please, Vanna?
Yeah. So Wheel of Fortune's just never going to be the same. I mean, I hope Pat Sajak gets better. I know he's going through some medical stuff, but my childhood's kind of hurting, right? Alex Trebek has cancer and is fighting that. And Pat Sajak, those are guys that we grew up on. If you knew our grandparents. The game show
channel is taking a hit right now.
The game show channel is alive and well today because of our grandparents.
Yes, or our parents.
And our parents, yeah, exactly. But Wheel of Fortune just isn't going to be the same. My floater, on the other hand, is Xbox users. Unfortunately, it was released today that MLB The Show will be coming to Xbox. As a PlayStation user, kind of pisses me off, but we'll talk about that at another point. But good for Xbox users. You finally actually get a decent baseball game. So good for you guys.
Yeah, might as well. That's lucky.
Yeah.
I have a PS4, so it doesn't really matter to me. But I honestly did not know it wasn't on Xbox.
You're an idiot.
Why?
You're an idiot.
But why?
Because it was a company that was owned by Sony.
I understand that, but you think you're missing out on so much money.
Dude, but you're also making so much money for Sony because I literally switched. I used to be a 360 guy, and then once they got rid of MLB 2K, then I literally went back to PlayStation simply because MLB The Show.
But if you're a fan of video games, the new NCAA games will be back.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time to be a video game player. I usually only play during my breaks, so like summertime I play quite a bit, winter break I play quite a bit, but I might be a little bit more consistent.
Boomy not happy though because that's the reason he was on the PS4.
Yeah, it takes away the exclusivity of MLB The Show. Kind of tarnishes the brand. There, I said it.
You're pissed at them trying to make more money. My floater, bull season, holiday sports season. It's a great time for gamblers. The bull season, I don't know, starts here in a few weeks, week or so.
The 20th. So a week from Friday.
We'll be doing some stuff on that when it gets closer to that time. But it's just nice to have something maybe at noon on a freaking Wednesday to gamble on a nice little bowl game. You're gonna have Alabama go up against Michigan in some random bowl game.
I have seen that 7 starters from from Bama have said they are not playing,
which is not surprising. Why would
I do the same thing?
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
This game literally means nothing. You'll be. I'm surprised if Saban even shows up for the game.
Right, he may
just be on recruiting. He's just like this literally means nothing to me. You will see a team that cares less about something. You will never see a team that cares less about something in this game. You don't go to Alabama to be in the Poinsettia Bowl or something like that. You go to Alabama to be in a national championship.
Let's have some respect for the Poinsettia Bowl. NIU's played in that many a times.
I'm not saying that's big time for NIU. This is Alabama.
We are the Alabama of the MAC.
Even though you didn't win the MAC.
Hey, we took a year off. We let someone else win it.
See, you're just like Alabama. You took a year off. Yeah. But if you really think about it, though, if you're Alabama, when was the last time you were even in this situation that you were in some random bowl game against Michigan, who isn't even having a good year? Because if you're Harbaugh, you're like, let's try to win this game because I don't care if it's a bad Alabama or a good Alabama. You beat Nick Saban.
Yeah.
You can't beat Ohio State. You can't beat anyone else that's really good. So if you're really Michigan, I'm not going to get into this too much, but I don't think Harbaugh's the answer there.
I think he's the best option they have.
I know, but what are you going to do?
Yeah, but in the same breath, like, why not be 9 and? It's better to be 9-3 every year than 6-6.
You say that, but if you're Michigan, at some point you gotta. When was the last time Michigan was even in contention?
That's what I'm saying. So why is
I understand that, but that's where you want to get to. If you're Michigan or you're an Ohio State or you're something like that, you want to be the top of you want to be the best team. If you're supposed to have one of the best coaches, he went to the NFL, won Super Bowls, this and that. You would think that he could put it together at least.
Yeah, but would you say the same for Illinois?
No, because Illinois and Michigan have different expectations. That doesn't matter. Rutgers is in the Big Ten. They don't have freaking expectation. Maryland's in the Big Ten. They don't have the same expectations. Illinois just being the bowl game for Illinois is big time.
If this was like 30 years ago, I'd agree. I just think that Michigan's so far removed from what that was.
That's not what they pretend like is happening, though. Michigan fans and Michigan and themselves still think they're the top of the Big Ten.
Yeah,
you want to live up to that. I think Illinois is trending in the right direction, but I still don't think that. I would hope that Michigan and Illinois maybe don't have the same goals as of right now. Sure. Because, like I said, there's some pretty bad teams.
I don't disagree. I just
Northwestern.
I just don't know if I think that Jim Harbaugh might be the best option for Michigan, but I could be wrong.
At this point, what are you going to do? I mean, you're paying them already a bunch of money anyway, so you're not going to go out and get anybody with a bigger profile name as of right now. So,
but hey, let's get into a big week. Last weekend in the NFC North, the Bears keeping themselves alive with a win on Thursday. The Cowboys stink, but the Bears took care of business at home.
If you're a Cowboys fan, you can't be that mad. You're still in
they've played absolutely terrible for the last 2 weeks, and they're still in first place.
That division
and the Eagles are about to lose to the Giants.
Well, they were getting close, actually.
It's 17-10.
Well, yeah. But that division is just bad. But the Bears, they got to win out. They got Packers at Lambeau. They got Chiefs at home. And then they go to Minnesota to finish the season. You go 2-1, you're done. You got to go 3-0. You got to win this weekend. I know. But if you're the Packers, though, they said they had a tough game against the R-words. Mm-hmm. But the defense isn't as good as it started off being.
They gave up 15 points to an NFL team. 15 points.
Dwayne Haskins, who is hurt, and their running game's bad. I understand.
15 points in an NFL game, I will take every single week. I don't care if they're playing the Dolphins B team. It doesn't matter. 15 points is still damn good.
That's fine.
You can't expect a shootout or a shutout.
I'm going to say right now, I don't think that the Packers are as good as they are coming out to be. I don't think they're going to do much. Well, a Packer fan would disagree with me. That's crazy. But the Bears are back on track. Mitch is playing better over the last few weeks here. The play
problem
calling
is the Bears can't no one in their way of getting to the playoffs is losing right now.
No, the Vikings. The Vikings have to play the Lions. Lions stink. The Packers beat the Redskins, and then the Rams go out and
the Rams
beat up the Seahawks.
Yeah.
Looking
no
good.
one's doing the Bears any favors.
No, and the Bears didn't do themselves any favors.
You're right.
They went out. They could have won games against the Rams. They're games that are sitting there that you're gonna look back on and you're gonna be disappointed in.
Definitely.
But it's nice to see Mitch show a little bit of progression.
You like to see the fact, and you've got to respect the fact that they've kind of dug themselves out of a pit of misery.
Yeah, they got Akeem Hicks back. I know Roquan's out for the season now.
They were in a really bad spot. They were 3-6.
Yeah, you think about it. They beat a Dallas team, which yes, they're not very good, but they didn't have Roquan Smith, they didn't have Akeem Hicks, and they didn't have Danny Trevathan, and that defense still dominated that Dallas team. Dallas was never in that game. Zeke had some good runs, but it didn't matter. I think that the Bears are going to look back at the end of the season and be happy with what they got. Like I said, I know everyone's going to be a little up in arms about this, but the Bears will pick up an extra year on Mitch Trubisky. They're going to put him in for another 2 years. Why would you not? I don't think that he's proven that he can't win. He's going to win you games. He's playing well. It's also play calling. The play calling's a lot better right now. But really and truthfully, it doesn't really matter unless they win this week. It's a week-by-week basis. It's nice to be in it, but you're 1 week away from being out of it.
Definitely.
So
let's go through this real quick. Quick playoff outlook. And I really just want to know, Zach, if you think this is going to change here and maybe what you think might change. Right now in the AFC, Baltimore is the 1 seed. New England is the 2. Kansas City the 3. Houston the 4. Buffalo the 5. And Pittsburgh 6. Any changes you foresee coming in that?
No, I really don't see any teams kind of taking over. The Bears are still in the hunt, you'd say. The Rams are in the hunt. But other than that, there's really not a lot of teams still in it.
Well, no, I haven't even got to the NFC yet. That was just the AFC.
Oh, sorry.
The only other teams, Tennessee is
kind of hard of hearing.
Tennessee is actually tied for the last playoff spot with Pittsburgh.
Well, because there's only one really wild card team left because either San Francisco or I think Seattle will get that first.
You're still talking about the NFC.
I know, but I don't think there's much to the AFC. I think the AFC's locked up.
You think that Pittsburgh's going to be that 6th seed?
Yeah, I think they will. I think Duck
Tennessee
Hodges is doing well.
Hot right now.
I think they're
Tennessee
hot,
is really hot.
I think that Duck Hodges has proven that he's good. I think the
Pittsburgh defense is good.
Defense is good. They can keep it moving. I don't think there's much to the AFC.
I think that Tennessee's going to find that spot. I think they might have found their quarterback with Tannehill, but
Okay, I like Tannehill. He had a good week, but I'm not going to sit here and say that Tannehill is here to save the world.
But he has saved the Tennessee Titans this year, though.
He saved them in the last few games.
Yeah.
But there's teams that are going to be able to scout him more.
Right.
They're going to know what he's going to do. They're going to be able to hone in on him. Derrick Henry is really the X factor here.
Oh,
if he can keep it moving, he's going to have to prove that he can run it and the passing because that's what kind of been done. They haven't been able to get the passing going. Derrick Henry's been kind of beat up with the whole with them kind of honing in on him during the game. So, but yeah, the NFC, the first wild card spot's locked up. Seattle or San Francisco is going to get it. And that's why it's going to be so difficult for the Bears to get in because they're going to have to get luck of the draw somehow. The Packers lose out, the Vikings lose out, and they get the division. Or
do you think Dallas is going to win the NFC East, or do you think Philadelphia is going to?
I don't think it matters. I mean, if whoever wins it, I don't think has a playoff run in them.
No, it's a travesty that one of the teams in the NFC East is going to get to host a playoff game. It's
ugly,
ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's ugly, but. It's happened in many years before.
Yeah, you're right.
They've had. I think the Panthers went in as under 500. I think the Seahawks went in. The Rams have gone in at under 500. It sucks when you're sitting in a division like the Bears, which is a tough division. You're sitting in a division like the Seahawks, which is a tough division. And then you have a division where you're under 500, you're still in first place.
Exactly.
And that's why the Monday night game was so weird because everyone's so mad at Jason Garrett, everyone's so mad at the team. But guess what? You could still make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
they are a playoff team right now.
You could still go on a run somehow.
The Cowboys are still the number 1 seed in the NFC East.
But like they said, they're the Cowboys. America's team. You're always supposed to be the better team, and you got Jerry Jones on the radio, on the interviews, all the time, going on and on. But
if the Cowboys come in, the Cowboys are probably going to win the NFC East. They win their first round game, and they then upset, and they're playing for an NFC championship. No one's going to remember that they were 5.
They may win the NFC East and still fire their coach.
Yeah,
that's crazy to say, but they could still. They won't win a division and still fire their coach because I don't think Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones see eye to eye. Which I don't really get because I don't see what it's Jason Garrett's really fault in a way. You have Ezekiel Elliott, you have Dak Prescott out there, and your defense is the reason why you're in the spot. The defense couldn't stop anything on Thursday night, especially against a Bears team that has been kind of struggling on offense, and they looked. I mean, they made Mitch look unbelievable. He had a running touchdown. This Bears team, though, like I said, they're week-by-week basis. Hopefully, the next time we see you, they are still in it. But like I said, they got a tough game against the Packers, and you can't feel sorry for a team like this because they put themselves in spots. They had games they should have won earlier in the season that would have locked it up a little more. But now you're going to have to fight, but it's fun. At least it's fun.
Absolutely. You're back in it. College football now, man. Final Four, did they get it right?
LSU won. Ohio State 2, Clemson 3, Oklahoma 4. I think they got it right.
I think they did too.
I think
Utah played themselves out of a college football
they had
playoff.
A chance. All they had to do was beat Oregon. Oregon they were 6-point favorites. Utah was 6-point favorites. They beat teams by 30 points the last since they played NIU.
Yeah.
And they go out, and in the biggest game of the year, they just didn't look like they cared.
Yeah.
And they cared, but there wasn't. I mean, they got down quick. And they just could never fight back. And it's your own fault. You could have, you had a chance. You could have been that 4th seed. They would have been that ranked 4th team, but they blew it. And so Oklahoma's gonna get a chance.
And they're gonna get the absolute teeth kicked in
by LSU. I don't think there's much of a chance from LSU.
And I think
Oklahoma there.
No matter who wins the 2-3 seed, I think Ohio State is a better team, but. There is a chance that Clemson wins that game.
I think Clemson is the better team.
I disagree.
I
think all around, top to bottom, I think Clemson might be a better offensive team. Defensive-wise, Ohio State is better.
But their defense was exposed a little bit from Wisconsin, who they had their quarterback ran all over that team in the first half, and I understand that's maybe a fluke game, but this Clemson offense is unbelievable.
Yeah.
They have wide receivers who are going to be in the NFL.
It will be interesting. I think Ohio State does get a nod. They have played a better schedule.
But like I said, this is the best team that both teams played. Ohio State is the best team they've played.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree, but they have played a tougher strength of schedule than Clemson has. The ACC is absolutely terrible.
I get that, but Michigan, down year. Wisconsin, down year. There's really no team
State
in the Big Ten.
Penn State's a top 10 team.
Yeah, but they still had kind of a down year. They lost games that they lost to Michigan, right?
Penn State.
Who did they lose? They lost 2 games. But I still think that they're both coming off of schedules that they said this is their best game of the year.
Yeah.
And that's usually what's going to happen in a national championship game.
But I think, like I was getting at, whoever wins that 2-3 matchup, it's going to be a good game against LSU. I mean, those top 3 teams are damn near interchangeable. So I don't think last year we saw Clemson just blow the doors off of Alabama. And I don't think you're going to see that this year.
LSU has played the hardest schedule. They played, I think, 5 top 10 teams when they played them.
Yeah.
They've been top 10 teams, and they're kind of more ready in a way. But like I said, it's 2-3 weeks away. Anything can happen. And I also think that I saw Chase Daniel. He got not Chase Daniel. What's the
Chase Young.
Chase Young. He got a Heisman nod, but he still since he's been back, he hasn't had like a crazy outbreak game.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that Ohio State offense goes up against Clemson. But like I said, I don't think Oklahoma has a chance against LSU. It kind of sucks for them, but Jalen Hurts I don't think is as good a quarterback as everyone wants him to be.
No, I think you're going to see LSU blow the doors off of
these 3 teams. There's 3 out of the 4 teams has transferred in quarterbacks from other teams. You're going to see that a lot more coming up here in the next few years.
I mean the transfer portal thing is enormous.
But it's good for NCAA. I think that players deserve it. If coaches can move around as quick as they can, a team like Alabama, if you have a quarterback that's sitting on the bench and he wants to go somewhere else,
I want to see
might as well move.
the LSU Ohio State game because Joe Burrow's transferred from Ohio State.
Yeah. So Joe Burrow also tried to go to
Nebraska,
and they said he wasn't
good enough. Scott Frost should have lost his job as soon as that quote came out.
Yeah, that's a bad move.
Moron.
But that's why there's such a relationship between Burrow and Coach O, because Coach O believed in him when not a lot of people believed in him, and he believed in this team. And Coach O, I think he can get this team ready for any game in any scenario.
We're going to find out. He hasn't been on the scene like this.
No,
but college football Final Four is much different than playing in the
not a lot of
Gator
coaches
Bowl.
have been.
Yeah, you're right.
You say a lot of the Clemson.
It's still new.
The only thing I had to say about Clemson is why I think that they have almost a better shot is because there's kids on this team, since they've been freshmen, they've been in the national championship spot or the top 4.
Well, Ohio State can make the same argument.
They've
been in the Final Four almost every year.
Since 2015?
Not every, I think all but one year.
I think Clemson has every year, though. So, I mean, that's crazy to think.
Yeah, but I don't. Yeah.
I'm not sold on Ohio State. That's just me. But let's move on to a little Cubs talk here. Trades with KB, trades with Wilson Contreras is looming. But I think that you can't be as angry as a lot of Cub fans are about the whole Chris Bryant thing is because
it's bound to happen when you have a wealth of riches the way the Cubs have.
Especially because, guess what? You can't sign everybody. You're going to sign Hobby most likely before the season starts, I hope.
Yeah.
Because I think that's where you want to put your money at. I think Chris Bryant wants crazy money. I think he wants 8 years or something like that and crazy money. I don't think the Cubs want to do that.
Right. They're not in a position to
do it. And if
teams that do that are usually younger teams that are looking to hit.
And if you can get the right trade out of a guy, that can also turn around a farm league that has not had crazy prospects in the last few years. And Wilson Contreras, like you said,
it's all part of the business. I mean, everybody's going to give, oh no, Chris Bryant, he's our guy, but in the same breath, that's just part of the business, man.
You can't be held down to players. I know this Cubs team over the last few years, we've gotten to love Anthony Rizzo, we gotten to love Chris Bryant, we gotten to love Anthony Rizzo is going to stick around, I think. But
we'll see.
But Chris Bryant, it's a business. It's not fandom.
Exactly.
You can't pick every player you want. And I just think that the two teams are kind of floating apart. Mm-hmm. I think because if they weren't floating apart, then I don't think the trades would be happening. Yeah. I think the trades are going up because the Cubs are kind of figuring out they're going to have to move on or they're going to be screwed by not getting anything. And Wilson Contreras, I love the guy, but I think he's almost going to get more prospects than a Chris Bryant in a way because he is a hot commodity young guy.
A premium too.
Young guy. Great contract.
You can find a third baseman nowadays the way you used to be able to find shortstops in the late 90s.
But I'm not saying that Chris Bryant's not one of the best players in the league right now. I'm not going to say that he's not. But you're going to have to move on at some point because they're still in the grievance process where we may lose him for that extra year.
Yeah.
And he went in the grievance process anyways, and that just kind of shows you where maybe the relationship is between the two teams. We're going to have to let it play out. The Sox got Grandal. They're going to make some move to winter meetings. I think this coming week. They just started, so it'll be a lot of moving pieces. So maybe by the time we come back on here, episode 58, we may be talking about a Chris Bryant trade. We'll probably do an emergency thing if something like that happens. But hey, check out our TCF morning show. We put it out Monday through Thursday mornings on our YouTube page. So we kind of go into all the subjects from that day. So if you want to go check that out, we got more on that. Bulls. Lose tonight by 1.
Jim Boylan's a moron.
They don't know how to do it.
It's the same thing. We literally have this same conversation all the time. Jim Boylan's a moron. But these young guys don't like playing for him because he's a coach that would have done well in the 80s and he can't do it now.
But the UC is starting to show.
One night. Let's wait and see.
But the attendance is down overall throughout the season.
Monday night, though. Let's see what happens on Friday or Saturday when they sell out 22,000. But that's the problem.
The Monday nights is when they always sold out and stuff like that, and just random nights when you sold out. And they're finally starting to figure out that no one wants to come see these Bulls teams.
No
one wants to come see Jim Boylan throw away a game against the Raptors team that didn't have Fred, kind of down on the road.
Well, 15-7, they're not really down.
No.
Fourth best team in the East.
I understand that, but if you look at the East, I think the East is all over the place right now. The 8th team is like a game or two under 500.
No, right at 500.
11-11.
Yeah.
So I think that. I'm just saying this is a game you should win.
No,
at home, you down by 1, and you just the last second
you don't
shots.
Want to watch them, man. They're not fun to watch.
the coach just doesn't know. It's just getting to be really
But in the
annoying.
same breath, like the Blackhawks are kind of in the same position. They can't find any consistency, and they can't.
They win 2 big games on the road in overtime and in a shootout, and then they come home and lose
To Arizona, who's not a good football team. Yeah, football. Sorry,
they're not a good football team, or
they're
a good,
not a
or
good hockey team either.
either.
But we're sitting here watching the Eagles-Giants game, and it's right in front of my face. But no, like that's the thing. That your 2 winner teams in Chicago are just extremely inconsistent.
Inconsistent, especially with the Bears. They could be out of it at any time. Pitchers and catchers, like 60 days, I think, until pitchers and catchers report. So,
hey, on the baseball note, at least we got White Sox Dave, man.
Yeah, we got White Sox Dave at Barstool WSD. We got him. He's on here for about 20 minutes. It was a great interview with our guy. Some good stuff about the Sox, Cubs, Bears, his time with how he got into Barstool, and a little pitching speed pitch challenge that he did for Cyber Monday with Barstool. So let's get.
And I'll be honest though, I didn't want to like White Sox Dave. Obviously, I've known him, followed him forever. But obviously, being a Cubs fan, there's like that little part of my heart that's like, I don't want to like this guy.
Great, it was a great.
And
dude.
he was the nicest guy. So thank you to White Sox Dave.
He took time out of his Monday night to give us a nice little interview.
Talk to 2 idiots in a basement.
So let's kick it to White Sox Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome on a new guest to the show. If you've been alive at all on the internet over the last few years, you know this guy. He's a North Central grad, a Chicago guy through and through. He's a co-host of the massive podcast that is Redline Radio on Barstool Chicago. He proved just last week on Cyber Monday he's still got some gas in the old arm. You can find him on Twitter at BarstoolWSD. Ladies and gentlemen, White Sox Dave. Dave, how we doing today, my man?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Man, we're living the dream. We're hanging out in Zach's basement. It's better than being outside, better than being just about anywhere. So we can't complain too much. And I imagine life's got to be going good for you, right? Winter meetings getting underway. Big prospects for the White Sox coming up. Is this the time of year that you enjoy the winter meetings?
I always look forward to them, and the last few years obviously have been way slower than typical, but I'm expecting the Sox to pull something off, maybe a move or two in the next couple of days. I don't know what that is yet, but I'm getting kind of restless right now because I'm sick of losing as a fan, and I just want good players on the team to round out all the prospects that you had kind of alluded to. So I hope they can swing something in the next 24 to 48 hours before the meetings wrap up. Nothing was due today, but I think they're on the path to, pulling the trigger on a move or two, whether that's free agency or in a trade.
Definitely. Now, if let's just say, for example, that the season were to start now, and they haven't made any moves, they have made a couple moves here and there. How do you feel about the White Sox chances sitting right now, or is it something that you feel that the White Sox have to make a move in order to be the biggest contender in the AL Central? Are they looking good right now, or is it going to take that move for them to jump up to that number one spot?
Yeah, the AL Central stinks. It's garbage. The Indians are, they might have to trade Lindor or Kluber. Mm-hmm. The Twins, a lot of those guys are on 1 or 2 year deals. So, I think the Twins are going to rake next year, but, who knows? Pineda suspended for the first, 50 or 80 games or something next year. They just re-signed him, though. But, in the next year to, 4 or 5 years, it's going to be a very winnable division. So, with what the White Sox have coming up internally, they just need to fill out the rest of the roster with solid or better players. And I don't think they're going to be winning the division next year. But look at what the Twins did. The Twins lost 74 or 75 games 2 years ago, and then they won. I think it was 100 last year. So,
right.
It can happen. And the White Sox, they're sick of the front office, the players. They're all sick of losing. A few of the players that I talk to, they know that, they have a lot of good stuff on the horizon, and they're all young, and they one player in particular told me it's time to pop bottles next year. So
definitely,
they want it. They're hungry, and I'm, we're hungry as White Sox fans.
All right, and the one big move, obviously, the White Sox make. They pick up a guy I like a lot. He's actually a guy that I have on my dynasty team on MLB The Show, Yasmani Grandal. On a scale of 10, how much do you like that move? I thought it was a good move, but what are your thoughts on that, Dave?
Yeah, in a vacuum, it's a great signing. I mean, in 8, 9, 10, it's a great signing. He's one of the very best catchers in baseball. And when you pair him with James McCann, that's probably the best catcher tandem in baseball. I know Giolito told me on Redline Radio and everything that the pitching staff absolutely loves working with James McCann. But and even though he had a hot start last year, was an all-star and everything, he's better suited to play, catch 60 games.
For sure.
Get 300, 350 or so plate appearances, maybe DH here and there. But the signing itself, like if that's the marquee signing of the winter, I'll be a little disappointed because they need so much more. They need a starting pitcher, at least one good starting pitcher, probably two, whether that be a free agent or through a trade. And then they need a right fielder. They need probably a legit DH that can play, 130 times this year. So there's still work to do, but in a vacuum, that signing was awesome.
Now, you said about the DH, is that something that you think Abreu is going to play a lot of? I know they re-signed his contract. Is Jose Abreu going to be the DH, or do you think that Jimenez is going to be? Like, what is your thoughts? I mean, I know, like I said, the other big signing was Eloy as of now. Or not Eloy, I'm sorry, Jose Abreu. Do you expect him to slide into that DH role a little bit more?
I wish Abreu would. I mean, first base, I think, like people say, like, oh, it's such an easy position to play. I think it's the most underrated position defensively on the entire field.
I love that.
You're a good first baseman saving, he's making Tim Anderson all the better playing shortstop. Or, he runs just on scooping balls throughout the year. Jose Abreu's bad at that. So I wish he were the DH, but he's going to be playing first base for at least another year until Andrew Vaughn's coming up. And then
that's
as far
true.
as Eloy, he's a complete and total butcher in the outfield. I mean, he is as good of a hitter as he was last year, and he's going to be in the future. He's just not a good outfield. Left field, like anyone should be able to play just a competent left field, but Eloy didn't really do that last year. And that's not to say he can't improve, but I think that he's more suited to just focus on hitting, 40-plus home runs every year and just dominating that way, which would be perfectly fine with me. But, I mean, there's just so many DH-type profiles on the roster right now, so only one guy can play it every day, so you're going to have a couple holes defensively. That's why I'm not too intent on, or I don't like the potential of adding Marcell Ozuna to right field, because he's also, I think, and I know the metrics say otherwise, but I think he's a butcher as well. So
yeah.
If you add someone like that, that's 3 big holes right there. And when Luis Robert gets called up, he's going to have to play sideline to sideline, And
Definitely.
it's just going to be a lot of extra bases being taken in the outfield, and a lot of gaps being hit on balls that aren't cut off when they are hitting the gap. So, I don't know. Like, I mean, as long as if they are hitting 35, 40 home runs a year, it makes up for it.
Yeah.
But I would still love some balance as well.
Well, I think you made a great point. Like with those additions, you do worry about the fielding, because also the White Sox have such a great young pitching staff, but in the same breath, they are still young, and you don't know how
Exactly.
A double to a gap that turns into a triple to the gap, how that's going to affect the psyche of a kid in his first or second year.
And with Eloy last year, a few of his injuries came from playing outfield and kind of making some mistakes in a way, and that kind of came with the injury. So you also want to get away from having him on the DL too,
Yeah.
or IL.
Exactly.
But I was listening to the dog walk the other day, and it was from your guys' first Christmas party, and I was just wondering, how did you kind of get involved with Barstool? Did you know Dan before it all, or how did you get involved with that?
No, we all met through Barstool. So I had a blog that was just kind of a joke that I started with a college buddy, and it actually developed like a pretty large readership where all we would kind of do is talk about our college life. He was at IU, Indiana, and I was at North Central, and we would just write on it every day. We had like 5, 6 guys just writing different college stories and like covering whatever sports we wanted to cover. And I sent it to Portnoy, and he said to keep in touch. And then when Big Cat was hired, Big Cat was like, "Hey, we need guys covering different teams for Chicago. Who's your team?" I'm like, "Well, it's Northwestern. No, Northwestern's kind of a joke, but it's the White Sox." And he's like, yeah, so if you want in, like, we'd love to have you. And I'm like, yeah, sure. So it started as kind of just like a creative outlet, and then 6 years later turned into a career, which was nothing we expected.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Were you in like a journalism major, or is that
absolutely not?
No,
absolutely.
You just started writing for the hell of it.
Just started writing for the hell of it, and the way like media is kind of shifting is like you don't really need to have that journalist background.
Definitely.
Because, people engage with your content, and that's what Barstool's great at. Like there's obviously some great writers at Barstool. I don't really consider myself one of them, but like people respond to our info, and I'm sitting there trying to like be the best baseball writer I can possibly be, in spite of like having a lack of journalism background. Like like PFT commenter says it all the time, like as a joke, obviously, but it's about telling, not spelling, and that's how media is kind of shifting. So that's what I try to do. I just try to, tell the story of like baseball in general as best I can, and it's worked so far.
Well, that's very true. I mean, if you just make it, I think so much of the problem with the old journalism is that it wasn't necessarily relatable to everyday guys like all of us, and that's how Barstool really grew their brand, was they really just touched out to the people, just the everyday fan, the very typical.
That's kind of why this podcast is what it is. Neither me or Boomy went to school for journalism or anything. I didn't even finish school, so I ended up going to Illinois Media School out in Lombard and just kind of kept with it. So like you said, nowadays the media is to the point where you do what you want. It's what you want to do and how you do it. It's really you can go to school for communication and all this and that, but it's what you want to do and how you connect with people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I couldn't say it any better myself.
All right, so I got to ask you, obviously, last week on Cyber Monday, the awesome video throwing the gas at the headquarters. Be honest, though, did you really think you had that gas still in the arm, or were you a little worried about how you were going to show up?
No, I wasn't. No, I knew I'd be around 80 the whole time.
Okay.
And this is how I feel. Like, on that 86 video, I guess it was a misread, but I was following through on every pitch.
Yes, I noticed that.
So when I would see the score, it already like I wasn't seeing the score pop up. I was looking up and it was already there,
Yep.
So I didn't see that it was a misread, but I knew I didn't throw 86 because there's no way I'm jumping 8 miles an hour or whatever. But the thing about it is we didn't get to warm up at all. So the first 15 or 17 pitches, like my arm was it was dry. It was completely, I didn't warm up. So I think I would have been like 80, 82, 83 maybe.
Okay.
Because once I had the 20 pitches in me, my last pitch was 81. It was the hardest pitch I threw. I was actually loose at that point. It was like I threw a pregame bullpen,
Yep. How'd your arm feel after, like the day after, 2 days after? That had to have killed, right?
Yeah, it was more my upper back and my neck. I couldn't really twist my head. I was so sore I couldn't move. It was the first time I've done that in like 10 years.
Oh man!
I couldn't imagine though the last punishment with the Uber, how that even would have worked out.
Oh my! You'd still be in an Uber right now, man.
I have no idea. I mean, I have no idea. I had people like emailing me saying they'd pick me up in rural Pennsylvania and stuff. And I'm like, well, just make sure you download the Uber app so I can call you and make sure you're there. So
yeah, you don't want Portnoy finding that one out.
Yeah, exactly. He would have crucified me. But yeah. So it would have been funny, but I was the only thing I was worried about is I had no idea how much merch we would sell.
Right.
So say if we sold $1 million of merch, that would have been 100 pitches or whatever, and at that point I would have been dead. I would have been just completely dead. So
because I didn't really know how long it was going to keep going. I didn't know if you guys were just going to keep going until like they just kind of started to fall off.
Until like we started seeing like a flat line on sales. So we had like a little. I don't think this was in any of the videos, but we had like a little chart. So the first like 20 minutes, it was like it was skyrocketing, and then it started leveling off.
Mm-hmm.
And once it started tapering for like 10 minutes straight, that's when they cut it.
Gotcha. That makes sense. Hey, to pivot a little bit, are you a White Sox fan that like hates and despises everything the Chicago Cubs are, or?
Yes.
Okay.
That's.
I respect it.
Yeah, you gotta respect it because if you're from where you're looking at with the Cubs, the last few years we've kind of gotten into a very
cocky.
We're in love with ourselves in a way, and then if little things happen, we freak out. And especially right now, where you guys are going in, the White Sox are going in a direction where you're starting to look like you're doing good, and the Cubs are going in a direction where you're starting to sell, and you don't know what the team's going to do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a gray area for sure right now for the Cubs. A lot of bad contracts, and as much as people want to blame the Ricketts family for not spending over the luxury tax, there's a lot more that goes on than just spending as much as you can. If you exceed it for 3 years, you're paying a 50%. 3 years in a row, that is, you're paying a 50% tax on every dollar spent.
Oh.
So say they would have signed Manny Machado, because that's a nice even number. That was 10 years, $300 million.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been. I mean, they would have been paying $150 million this year for him. So extra. So that would have been a force. So what team's going to do that? No team on earth's going to do that. And then if you do it for 4 years in a row, then you start losing draft picks and international money, and it just doesn't make sense for teams to do that. So it's more than just like, oh, the Cubs are a rich team; they can spend all they want, and theoretically they could, but it just doesn't make sense.
It's not smart.
Right. You're not going to see any team in baseball doing that. Not the Yankees, not the Red Sox, not the Cubs, not the Dodgers. None of these rich teams will ever do that, as long as the system is like it is right now. So
definitely.
I mean, I don't blame them. You got to blame the Cubs front office for like the bad contracts. Darvish looked good the second half, but that's a bad contract. Hayward's a bad contract.
Chatwood's a really bad contract. Yeah.
There's a few really bad
Brandon
contracts on that team.
Yeah.
Brandon Morrow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so put your GM hat on. If we said about the Cubs, there's been rumors the Cubs are looking to trade guys like Chris Bryant, Wilson Contreras. If you're the GM of the Cubs right now, are you pulling the trigger if those are the right moves? If you're getting enough in return, are you to the point now where GM Dave's going to pull the trigger on those?
I mean, you said it yourself. It's got to be the right move. If I'm moving Chris Bryant, well, that's not going to happen until after his grievance is finalized or whatever, which I thought was supposed to happen by now. But the difference between 1 year of control and 2 years of control is massive. So, assuming it's 2 years of control, you're going to be looking for a major league starting third baseman in return that's cheap and controllable. So, and I think you could get that for Chris Bryant. He's that good. But I mean, if you got to balance the risk and reward. Like I said, if you get a major league starting quality third baseman in return, then probably you do that. Especially if you get like a stud bullpen piece as well. So, but I don't think they're going to end up doing anything. A lot of people do. If I were them, I'd reassess at the deadline. But with that said, I think it'd be worst case scenario. If they were like 4 or 5 games over 500 at the deadline, it either had to be like way under or way over. Because if they're like right there, then you might as well just trade everybody, I think. If you're just like teetering at mediocrity,
Yeah,
I know we gotta let it play out. But do you like the hiring of David Ross, of like pretty much best friends with a lot of guys on the team? Do you think that's gonna work out, or do you think that could blow up in their face?
Yeah, I think the players have that much respect for David Ross. I'll back up a little bit. I think a lot of players do. I think Anthony Rizzo would go to hell in a gasoline suit for him. I'm not sure Chris Bryant would, which is why I think you are hearing his name in a lot of trade talks right now. So because I mean he's a Boris guy. He's looking to get paid in a year or two, whichever one it is. Mm-hmm. He filed a grievance against the Cubs. Which is more than I'll never fault the guy for taking the money. So,
no, not at all.
If he's out for Chris Bryant, and while at the same time trying to play as best as he can for the team. So it's a little different. He's loyal to one thing, and David Ross guys are loyal to another, like Anthony Rizzo, Javi Baez, those kind of guys. So. I could be completely wrong when I say that, but I think there's just a camp that's either in the David Ross corner or not in it, and I think that's what you're kind of seeing right now.
Right on. When the White Sox are ready to compete, who do you think is going to be the manager of the team, or do you have a guess or a guy you want to see running the show?
I think this is probably Ricky Renner's assuming they put a quality product on the field. By quality, I mean like call it 85 wins.
Okay.
I'm not saying they're going to win 100 games this year, but over 500. Making a push for the second wild card, or even if all things do go right for the division, and if they're winning 72 games next year again, in spite of adding Grandal and potentially someone like I don't know, Marcell Ozuna, whoever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I think Ricky's would be first on the chopping block for sure.
Yeah.
And just a last question here. I know you went to the Bears game. Boomy over here is a Packers fan. What do you think the Bears' chances still are to get into playoffs? We're in the hunt. It didn't help that the Rams and the Vikings both won. But do you think they still got a chance with Akeem Hicks coming back and Mitch looking good? And I want to have hope, but it's just going to be tough.
I mean, you got to win out.
You got to win out.
You got to go 3-0 to end the season. 10-6, it puts you in a really good spot. And I mean, in that case, you're beating the Vikings twice. Obviously, you need some help, but I think 10-6 gives you a pretty good chance. I think I saw they only had a 3% chance to do that, but take it week by week. And with Hicks coming back, that makes Mac all the better, which, I mean, he's been good, not, the defensive player of the year we saw last year good. So, I don't know. We'll see. It's do or die every single game. So go to Lambeau this week, beat them, and go from there.
Well, that's about best of luck, man. As a Packers fan, I can only wish them the best of luck. I'd rather see the Bears, and I'm not the weirdest Packer fan. I actually like it when the Bears are good because I feel like the NFL as a whole is, in my world, more entertaining when the Bears are good. So I hope the Bears actually catch the Vikings because I hate everything the Vikings are. So I'm actually kind of rooting for you guys. So
yeah, it's like. Going back to baseball and Chicago talk, I think it's awesome when both. I mean, we haven't seen it much, but it's awesome when both teams in town are, good quality playoff type teams. So I would love if the Bears were and the Packers were, consistently vying for the NFC North for the next decade. Yeah, because football, like you said, is better as a whole when both teams are good.
Well, look back at 2010. I mean, when the Packers win the Super Bowl, they play the Bears in the NFC title game. That's one of the most memorable games of the last 20, 25 years. So
easily, yeah.
Maybe we'll get that same bit in the baseball world in the Cubs-Sox World Series here
amazing.
In a couple years. So we'll see what happens.
Hopefully, man.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Dave. We appreciate you coming on. Make sure you go follow Dave at Barstool WSD. And next time you're going to throw that hard and throw that many pitches, man, let's get that thing warmed up for you and get you a treatment plan for the flight home.
Let's do it.
Yeah, right on. Well, ladies and gentlemen, White Sox Dave. All right, man.
Thanks, fellas.
And that was a great interview with our guy, White Sox Dave. Got some good White Sox information out of him. Some Cubs stuff.
Barstool stuff.
Some Bears stuff. Again, shout out to our guy, White Sox Dave. Thanks again at Barstool WSD.
If you don't already, which I can't believe if you watch this show that you don't know who White Sox Dave is. Go follow him on Twitter.
He said he went to North Central, so maybe you guys, some local people know who he is.
Yeah.
So go check him out. Again, thank you for listening to episode 57 of Typical Chicago Fans.
We're back, baby.
Go follow the Twitter at Typical_Chicago, Instagram Typical Chicago Fans, Facebook Typical Chicago Fans. We do a TCF morning show Mondays through Thursday. We drop it about 7 a.m. every morning on our YouTube page, so go check that out.
Make sure you follow me on Twitter at BoomyTCF, since Zach didn't let me get my Twitter handle out there earlier at the beginning of the show.
I didn't put mine.
But follow me at BoomyTCF. Excuse me.
See, I gave you a chance.
You threw me off here. All of our podcasts are at Apple Podcasts. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review. Leave a nice review if you can. Actually, just leave a nice review. Not if you can. Just go do it.
Our TCF morning shows, I'm also putting them out on podcast form. So if you can't watch them on
Spotify
YouTube.
as well. So
follow check that out if you want to listen to it. If you got a job where you can't watch it, you can listen to stuff.
Yep. But YouTube, you were hammering the YouTube. So head on over to YouTube, type in Typical Chicago Fans, hit the red subscribe button.
So thank you again for listening to us, watching us here. Episode 57 of Typical Chicago Fans. We love you all.
Peace.